Powell, she had to, like, well, she didn't attend a lot of our meetings, so we just felt maybe it was best that she drop out. And then myself, an older retired guy, pastor, who who is chairing the committee. We met with Susie Ford, who is Associate General Secretary, who works with our committee, and she guided us through quite a bit and helped us quite a bit. She gave us a sheet of paper, which is the list of what we have to do. 23 items we had to cover. The first 4 were our longest time dealing with those. We had the listening conferences, and we've had also the survey. We thank you for participating in those. Most of all, we thank you for your prayers. Continue praying, and we wish that we really wanted to try to listen as well to what you were saying through the surveys, through the listening conferences, and we wanted to try to focus in on those, and we tried to do our best with that. On these items, we've gone through 18 of them. We conducted interviews and discerned a candidate. We did that last weekend. I'm happy to report that we have a candidate. But you're going to have to wait another month before we can reel them, okay? So please be patient. Be patient and continue to pray, because part of that is our committee has to present that to the leadership team, who they have to approve, okay? So continue to pray. So one more month, we promise, we'll have a candidate for you for our next region minister.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. The amount of work that they put in was tremendous. The amount of driving, the amount of time, the amount of prayer. When we first started this, Susie said, 18 months before you'll have anything. And I want you to know that in true Nebraska efficiency, led by Rick and the people that were on the board, they were able to move through this in a fashion that will come up with that, and they come up with their candidate. Financial reports are in the green and the blue. Bob? Yes. If there's any questions about any of the lines, email us and we'll get that back to you. But we're not going to go money by money. Bob?
There are basically 3 reports in your packet of materials. The blue sheets are the region report for January through September, so it's 9/12 of the year. And you see that the region has far exceeded its goals of balanced budget, and we've got $22,000 surplus at the moment. But then when you look at the green sheets, you see that the camp has, instead of a balanced budget, it's $46,000 in the hole, and that's because of the fewer people that are going to camp. Okay, so income was not there. And so the camp staff has worked to rewrite the budget for next year so that that won't happen again. Yeah. Just keep making the budget more realistic and trying to catch up with actual enrollments. And the third thing is a one-page white sheet that shows the status of the investment pool as of September 30th, and compared back to September 30th of last year. We've actually made up some gains, even though we have been sending money to the region and camp from that investment fund. So the stock market has been good to us. So if anybody has any questions about any of these, please feel free to get in touch.
Thanks, Bob. Also, generally for the camp, the money from churches and such really didn't come in until about December. And that's, so the year-end report will be better reflect that. So, Susan?
Okay, good morning. All right, the 2023 conference in June at Camp Moses Merrill, we had 26 attendees, and a lot of the discussion at our business meeting had to do with the proposed revision to the ABWM national bylaws and standing rules. And Greg came and helped out with some explanations, and the business meeting voted for me to vote no. The bylaws at the national meeting were defeated. And I don't know what's going on, if they're going to re-propose or what's going to happen, but all the concerns that we had here in Nebraska about them were reflected all over the country. So we weren't alone in the fact that we weren't pleased with the changes. We also voted on a new mission project because our speaker spoke about domestic violence and her experience with it. And so our mission project for this year, and hopefully next year as well, is to support a local women's shelter. So the local church will take whatever they have and contact a local shelter and see how you can support them. If it means having a toy drive or raising money, I mean, just all kinds of things. But you contact your local shelter, you find out what they need, and then the only thing I'm asking is at the convention in 2024 that you have a report about what you have done to support the shelter in your area. You don't have to send money to me or to the state for that, because you're doing it locally. And that's, I think that's the best use of your time and your money, is to do things locally. So you can send me a report or you can come. I'd love to have you come. The 2023 fall retreat, so far we have 17 registered. The First Baptist Church Beatrice is planning it. It's going to be October 27th through 29th. The information is on the table in the, whatever that room is over there. Also, we have started a newsletter monthly. It's being written by Susan Swartz out of Beatrice. And again, copies are on the table, and they're a place for you to sign up if you'd like to receive the newsletter. We are planning the spring conference in June of 2024. It's being planned by First Baptist North Platte, and it's going to be at Camp Kamika, which is near Cozad. The plan is to rotate the conferences between the middle of the state and over here, so that people from the western part of the state have a chance to participate and not have to drive 7 or 8 hours to camp. We're working on figuring out where the Weichelman Fund is. I don't know if you know what the Weichelman Fund, the Weichelmans donated a good portion of money to the women to provide scholarships for girls to go to college. For the board aged, we haven't had a meeting in a long time. It took me a while to find out even where the money was, but we're working on getting that resurrected so that we can provide scholarships for girls to go to college. And I think the scholarships are about $1,000 a piece, which is a good amount of money. My goal this year is to visit as many Nebraska churches as I can to find out what the women would like ABW to do for them, what we can contribute, what kind of projects they're interested in. So far I've done North Platte, Beatrice, I was in Chapman. There's also there's a sign-up sheet on the table if you would like me to come to your church and meet with your women. You do not have to have an organized ABWM with a president and vice president and all that stuff. You just have to have women. If your church has women, how many churches have women in them? Okay, good, good. So you are a candidate for me to come and visit you. So please sign up, and it's just your name, what church you're with, and an email address, and we'll contact each other and come up with a date. So I'm looking forward to meeting a whole lot of people across the whole state of Nebraska. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Susan. So I'm not Brad Pope, but he's in Hawaii because his wife said he had to be. And the table back there in that room, the American Baptist men generally are in the process of raising money and buying materials for the camp. Since 2010, it's amounted to $133,000, and a variety of equipment, as well as tools, as well as little things such as the sunshade for the pool, and the skimmer for the pool. Whatever a skimmer is, I'm not sure, but we provided funds for that as well. We are waiting until the process of the Weaver, there you go, thank you. God, I'm too old. Okay, Weaver Hall, and they're raising money there because one of the other things that needs to be done, the men are looking at raising money for, is to redo calendars outside. The windows are rotted out. The siding, my wife and I painted that a few years back and took like 30 gallons of paint because of all the cracks and such. So we're looking to replace the siding as well. But we'll wait until we do with the raising the money for the Weaver, because that's far more important. And that's all we have from Brad. So, Bev?
All right, I am doing 2 workshops, so I'm just going to highlight here in the because of the shortage of time. So I want to tell you, summer camp 2023. We had 171 youth campers, which is the lowest we've ever had. We had 30 family campers. We did have an amazing staff, great camp pastors. We had 5 first-time commitments to Christ. We had 6 kids that recommitted their lives to Christ, and we had 89 that continued their relationship with Christ. So even with lower numbers, over half of the kids showed an impact for Christ. And that's what it's all about. Sometimes it's not about the numbers. It's about what's happening to the ones that are there. Retreat season is in full swing. We are seeing an influx at camp of multicultural people using camp, which is very exciting and fun to watch, just like our worship this morning. To see other ethnic groups come to camp and worship in their native language has just been amazing. We are struggling with nitrates at camp in our water, which is not a new problem. It's been going on for decades. We have now reached the critical point, though, that we are out of compliance. We are a public water system, which means we test our water quarterly for nitrates and also for coliform. Because we have been out of compliance for 3 consecutive quarters, the health department is forcing us to do something about our nitrates. The most economical plan right now is to drill a new well. So we are in contract with an engineer and following all the protocol that goes with that. We don't have a cost on it. We don't have a time frame on it. We're just dealing with it quarter by quarter. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some progress in the next 6 months. We are working on the 8th cabin for remodel. We will only have 2 left to do, so our plan is to have those done by next summer. So we're very excited to see that project come to a close as we are kicking off the campaign to give our much-loved Weaver Hall some attention that it needs. The building is very old, as you know, because a lot of you have wonderful memories in Weaver Hall. And it has, other than adding central air, not a lot has changed in the 50 years that it's been at camp, and it's time. Our sewer lines are crumbling underneath the building. The kitchen is no longer up to state code. There are some things that majorly need to happen in there. If you're on our mailing list, you will be receiving all of that information. We'll also be sending out emails. I have all the information here, and I'll be talking more about that in my workshops that I'm doing on camp today. Again, thank you for all your support. Without you guys, we don't have camp. And camp changes lives, not only for the youth that come, but for the adults that come see camp. And I have some stories I'm going to share in my workshop, so please try and come to one of those. Again, thank you for your support. We appreciate you.
Some of us guys were up there on a Saturday working, and a gentleman drove his family in from Minneapolis, Minnesota, so that they could go out into the hills and pray for their son. And there are a variety of groups that do that. Bev asked him, isn't there a camp someplace between here and there? And he said, yeah, but not like this one. Okay, so understand how important that camp is. All right, Orrin?
Thanks, Craig. Yeah. Okay. Good morning. I'm Orrin Klinger, and I serve as the ABC USA region rep and for the general board. And there are about 33 regions like ourselves. And so that gives you a little bit of comparison of what we're dealing with there. Burl had served in like my position a few years back, and I really appreciated what she did when she served on the board there, the general board in there. There were actually 4 different groups of the BGM, the Finance Committee, becoming a beloved community, Christian unity and interfaith relations, and communicating ABC identity. Okay, I serve on the BGM Finance Committee. We met last June in Puerto Rico prior to the biennial. Paul Higgins, those of you that are familiar with Rainbow Acres, he's the chief financial officer down there, and so it was good to be able to work with him in that capacity on the board there. The net revenue compared to last year is down $438,000. Revenue is down primarily due to the fact that we did not have any PPP in 2023 that we did before. Expenses compared to last year, and this is going back to April 30th is the numbers that I'm using here. Expenses were about $100,000 higher, and that was primarily due to the new software that they were implementing and transition ministries, denominational emphasis. Total United Mission is $1,856,770. That's a decrease of $85,000 some dollars. That's down 4.43%. Okay. The total American Baptist support, okay, that's all the different mission offerings and stuff like that, is $7,665,000 some dollars compared to a year ago, $9,334,000. So that's a 17+% decrease. And part of that has to do also with being fewer churches and fewer members. Yeah. Robin Stoops is working with the United Missions, and we saw the video there a little bit earlier there about United Missions. As I serve on the Finance Committee, we are one of the regions that are so-called not in compliance with ABC USA guidelines. And that has to do with the fact that we do not do an audit. And because the reason for that is because of the cost of the audit. Okay, so there's only 12 of them that do. And so we did meet at a meeting there. We met with Harry Riggs, Susie Ford, which I mentioned about earlier, Robin Stoops there too. and to see what we can do to change that. Because if we're not doing it, we need to change something, okay, to where, rather than just saying it's not happening, you know, and not doing anything about it. So hopefully that'll change there, and we can move forward with a way that will be satisfactory to the regions and ABC USA. A couple weeks, I'll be having a Zoom meeting regarding the 2024 budget and a grant request. Have next meeting is in November in Philadelphia, and so we'll be meeting there and going over the budget at that point in time then too. They're still in the search for the general secretary to replace Dr. Jeff Woods. He, I think, was interim for about 2 years and then went to actually the general secretary for about 2 years or whatever. Whether or not that will be available to be decided at the November board meeting or not, I do not know at this point in time. But they're in a search, kind of like we are in a search, as also there were, I think, like 6 other regions. There in June, there was like 6 other regions that were in search for an executive minister. At the Biennial Mission Summit in June, in Nebraska, I feel, was very involved and represented well. Pastor Joy brought the message on Sunday evening. Greg did a workshop or a session on table life, okay? I helped with a help desk when we did the voting as delegates, and that we used a phone app, and so I tried helping some of the people get their phones set up to do that. I don't think we'll use that application today, but no. That's technology. Okay. Like I say, Robin was there, Steve Bills was there. Those of you who remember him. Harry Riggs was there. Matt Topin, who used to be at First Baptist here in Omaha, I actually had the opportunity to be a roommate of him a year ago, November meeting. He's now in Portland. It was interesting, I met Christina Adams from Kansas, who was one of the first cabin leaders, from my understanding, when we went to a cabin leader for the whole summer session. I met John Good at breakfast one morning, and his daughter also worked at camp a couple of years ago, he said. And so, like I said, I feel Nebraska does a very good job of being a part of Amen. ABC USA. Okay. One session I attended was Times Are Changing. What about theological education? And as we are short on seminary, trained pastors, you know, what can we do to help provide training for those needing it? And that's, I think we're even trying to work with it some here at our own region level there. Okay, the last day of our board meeting, we talked about diversity and inclusion. It just happened to be that when we went into the room for the last meeting of the day there, I sat down at a table. I was the first one to sit down. Along came an Asian American person, a Puerto Rican, 2 African Americans, and I was the only white Caucasian there. And so it just really fit hand in hand. And so how do we do it in our churches as far as inclusion and diversion on that? So we saw some of that here today, and that's very good to see that. I will, once again, as your regional rep, reach out to me if you need to, have questions or whatever. I'll try and get some answers to or for you. And then the thing that I want to remind you of, and Robin I think mentioned it earlier there too, that American Baptist Churches of USA is one of the most diverse Christian denominations today, with approximately 5,000 congregations, which is comprised of 1.3 million members across the United States and Puerto Rico, all engaged in God's mission around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. So there's a little sheet in there that has the election of new board members. The people who are delegates will be doing the election. And so that's the little white sheet. It looks like this. Those are the nominated positions. I need a motion to accept this nomination, and then we'll vote not singularly, but on the whole board. Okay? The delegates are the ones that voted, yes. You will vote by delegate, so. So everybody's got to take a look at their sheet, and those are the people who have requested or have allowed themselves to be on the list, okay? Because it's sometimes a little unnerving for some. So, okay, very good. Second? Second, Bob? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Margene Ferris. And Bob Fairchild seconded. I just also want you to note that, especially because I have never met a secretary as good as Nola Crooks. And it is amazing. Okay, so delegates, all in favor for this, please raise your little tag. Okay, good, and all opposed? Okay, so all of these have been elected. The other, so before Greg comes up and goes on and on, I just wanted to say, Tien, I appreciated that. I remember reading Schofield, who said that, there was a tree of life in the center of the garden, and because Adam sinned, he got kicked out, and then the guard was placed over that tree of knowledge that he couldn't go and eat of. And then God provided a second tree of life called the cross. So, all right, Greg.
All right, I'll do my best to be brief. I just want to thank you guys so much for the last year of serving as the transitional executive minister and continue to do so. We eagerly anticipate the announcement from the search committee when that is available. It's been a really good year. You heard from Bev all the things happening at camp. Come to our workshop. You're going to hear all about that. But I just really want you to realize that we recognize that the Moses Merrill Campman Conference Center is a thin, holy space where people from all across the country and around the world go in order to meet with God. And we take the stewardship of that place very, very seriously, and that honor to guard that thinness. And so we just give great gratitude to our camp staff. Thank you, Bev, for all the leadership that you offer there in order to maintain that opportunity for us. I would also like to specifically thank our office manager, Sue Gamble. Amen. She is a veteran. She works so hard, and she is dedicated to this region. Her efforts and her wisdom and institutional memory have made this year possible, and without that, this season of transition would have been way more difficult and challenging. So thank you, Sue. Thank you also to the Reverend Joy Martinez Marshall of First Baptist Church, Lincoln. She has served as our associate executive minister part-time in addition to her duties as First Baptist Church pastor. And so thank you so much for all that you're doing. And then he's not here, but our office would never be the same without Dick Peterson coming in a couple times a week, reminding us all to take our coffee breaks. He calls on pastors. He follows up with our retired leaders. And so he's been a good friend and mentor and leader. So thank you to Dick. This year has been, we've done our best to do as many normal things as possible, even though we are running on one staff instead of two full-time. We've helped 3 churches identify new pastors. We are in the process of onboarding a 4th one, and then we're working with 3 other congregations right now. So maybe 7 in a year. That's quite a bit of work. We've also worked with a handful of churches get their nonprofit status. We've welcomed on 4 others, and through that process, we've welcomed 2 new congregations to the family, and so we continue to do these sort of things. The region staff, in one shape or form or another, made 100 different visits this year, filling pulpits, preaching and teaching at conferences, workshops, mission summits, and various camp events. So we are on the road. I'm always tempted to take a picture of my odometer when I show up to a church and be like, hey, Nebraska, we go places. 38,000 miles on a car that's 18 months old we are on the move for sure. We have helped write grants. We have written grants at the region level. We've helped local churches write grants throughout the 2022 and 2023 grant cycle season. In sum, we have raised $100,000 in grants just this calendar year since our last gathering for both the region and local churches. And so we are really grateful for those grants, and that is extra ministry that we get to do beyond budget. And so that's one of the things that's going to continue to be a growing edge for us in mission and ministry, is writing those grants. We hosted the Prairie Pastors Conference right here at the Sunset Hills Baptist Church, about 100 and so pastors. We included many international missionaries at our last one. Our next one will feature the Office of General Secretary's new General Secretary. Hopefully we'll know who that is soon. We're also bringing in ABC USA President Nikita McAllister, and then we're going to have a discipleship focus, and so we'll have workshops, and then our keynote for Wednesday will be a discipleship program. We have used this time of transition to review a lot of our history and know our place in the American Baptist story. I'm working on a document that would kind of give a quick summary, and quick to me is like 10 pages or less, that we're going to put on our website, and that'll kind of give a chronology of the history of Nebraska Baptist and also a history of all the executive ministers. And so that's kind of interesting, the ways that we've shifted and changed over the years, and yet we continue to be American Baptist. Our Vice President Jane Gangwish stimulated that research, and I, in typical Greg fashion, overdid it. She only wanted a list of names, and here I am 2 months later, like creating an actual history. So thank you for that stimulation. We've updated the website. I don't know if you've looked at it lately, but certainly go check it out. It's full of resources. We encourage you to use that as one of your primary resources. You've got a question, go there first. Hopefully there's a link somewhere inside there that'll give you the answer to American Baptist Life, Region Life. You'll also notice on there we have ways to give directly to camp and to the region through Tithely. And so you could do like a monthly donation. We encourage you to be part of the 2300 team for camp specifically. But if you want to give to a region ministry or like events like this going forward, we're going to use that link to do registration costs and those sort of things. And we are working on increasing our social media presence. This is one of the things Joy has done for us. She's helped create some really good marketing and PR and stuff for us. All the graphics and material you've seen for this event, Joy helped create a schedule for, and so we're thankful for that kind of stuff. And I want to emphasize that our region description, if you look at the first page, our mission statement is to equip, encourage, and empower local churches to be transforming Christian communities. And we continue to seek ways to do that through a variety of ways. And your financial support through United Mission makes those things possible. And just as our church, or our title says, churches helping churches. When you provide to United Mission, when you share your gifts and talents at conferences and retreats like this, you are a church helping another church accomplish mission. So we ask that you would continue to lean into that side of your associational principles as American Baptists. Of course, your autonomy of the local church is paramount. Your priesthood of the believer is important. We all stand under the authority of Scripture, but we also are associational. And so we do those things together. And thank you for being a region staff person who serves as your missionary of that shared mission and ministry. Let us know if there's some specific mission and ministry things that we can do, workshops, resources you need, things you feel like your church has need of and you don't know where to go for that resource. Let us know, and hopefully we can become that resource or point you toward good resources. All right, I'm going to close with this. And this is a significant moment in our history. So I need Robin Stoops to come up. Susan Gillies, are you here? Please come up here. not even the leadership team knows what is happening next. As Oren was alluding to, Joy, you can come up here too. This is a big deal. We went to the Mission Summit in June. Our staff was well represented. As you heard, so many leaders in ABC life have come through Nebraska in one way or another. They've been region staff. They've been pastors of local churches. They grew up in our churches and went out to do some other really good work. Joy spoke at the Mission Summit on the closing event. And for those who don't know, the Mission Summit is all of ABC gets together, all the family. Every acronym is there, and we share in our shared mission and ministry. It's a big deal. Thousands of people go to these things, and there's so many workshops and dinners, and everybody gets to celebrate what their individual society is doing. And so I would like for all of you to be the first to know and the first to hear publicly that the 2025 Mission Summit is going to be held in Omaha, Nebraska. So for the first time in Nebraska's history, it's going to be hosted in Omaha. We have hosted one in Lincoln many, many moons ago, but this will be the first time in Omaha, Nebraska. There's still many details to work out, but it is going to be July 4, 5, and 6, 2025 at the CHI Center in Omaha, Nebraska. And Susan has been an interim general secretary. Robin is currently on staff, and we look forward to doing this. Is there anything you want to say about this upcoming really special honor for our churches?
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Robin is not wrong. And Susan knows. I'm really excited for us to have this opportunity. One of the really important things that we will be doing is creating a local area committee or a welcoming team, basically, that will work over the next 20 months planning this event. So if you just want to give all your free volunteer time to planning a national mission summit, let me know, and we will certainly look at ways to get us involved. So that's the big news. That was the secret. It's being published right now on social media through ABC USA, and this is the big moment. You're the first to know. We are going to be the hosts of the 2025 ABC USA Mission Summit.
I just want to say two quick words. First of all, you're welcome, and I'm sorry.
So yeah, this is a huge deal, and we hope you all come and all your churches are there. This is our chance to shine as a region and really put forward and show all the amazing things our churches are doing, our diversity, our growth, our love of Jesus. And so, yeah, big deal.
Okay, thank you. Well, as you can see in your booklet, that the Nebraska region covers more than just Nebraska. There's South Dakota, there's Texas, there's Florida, there's Tennessee, North Carolina. South Carolina, North Carolina. North Carolina. Those churches said, Nebraska is where we identify. Okay, and that's why they've joined our region. So I need to have Pastor, I think we're there, Pastor Steve is going to come and give us our adjourning prayer, and then we start the workshops.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we have heard the story of the cross. We've heard the story of Tyndale and Judson, Moses Merrill, Ola Hansen, and the story continues. We don't know what is to come, but God, we know that your Spirit has been poured out upon us, that we have been called, we have been anointed, we have been extended the invitation to be disciples.
And so, Lord, may we do what you have called us to do as the churches of Nebraska. May we be, even though it is unknown to us at the time, whatever the future holds for each of our congregations, may we be open to your Spirit to move among us, to continue to serve as you have called us. In your name, amen.
All right, so here's the adjusted schedule. We're going to start our first workshop session, the 10:30 session, which is going to start at 11:05. We're going to do those. We're going to go from 11:05 to 11:40, right? That's about a half hour. 11:05 to 11:35. 30-minute for the session, 5-minute break, and then we'll go into the 11:40 through 12:10, and then we'll have lunch, and then whenever everyone's done with lunch, we'll start the afternoon workshop and sessions, all right? So 5 minutes, find your workshops. They're all on the schedules, are on the rooms. They're in your programs. They're on the walls. Go pick a workshop. Leaders, go there, beat the crowd. And so 30 minutes, you have till 11:35 for the first session. The next session starts at 11:40. All right.
Amen. Thank you, bro. Yeah.